Hi there, you parents of St Mungo's students out there. My name is Neil Fraser, aka The Fraz, because I've become known by my on-screen name, and I'm a teacher here at St Mungo's. And I've made this short video to give you a tour of Microsoft Teams, which has become the tool of choice in St Mungo's, nationally and even internationally in places of work as well. I'm going to show you how to access Teams, and I'm going to show you the main features of Teams and show you how it integrates with a whole load of other tools that we would use. So I have a laptop interface here, so the first thing I'm going to show you is how to access Teams through that environment. Now, the very first time the young person in your household would access Teams is they would need to log into Glow, and then when they've logged into Glow they would have a screen exactly like this one, which is called My Launchpad. What they would then do is click on this OneDrive tile, and that would take you to a tab like this. And then what they would need to do is go to this thing here that we call the waffle menu, because it looks like that breakfast waffle. No bacon or maple syrup available. And then they would click on Teams down here, and that would then take you to a web version of Teams. Now, the web version of Teams has got most of the functionality that you need, but it has some limitations. So then I would advise to go down to the bottom left here that I'm highlighting, and it says download desktop app. Now, the young person in your house has got access to a free download of Teams and Office 365 through Glow. So that's just a wee reminder. So download the desktop app, and then if you open up the desktop app, it'll look something like this. Now, in between those steps, you would have had to log into Teams once, but once you've got the desktop app, you can then just double click on it off of your desktop and the app will open, and you don't need to go in through Teams again. So the features that Teams has, if I go down the left hand side, extreme left hand side here, activity is like a feed from all of the teams that I'm a member of. Chat would allow me to do one-to-one chat with a colleague. That would allow me to, Teams would allow me to access any of my teams, look at any assignments I've given out to Teams. I've got a calendar, and I can do audio and video calls and even video lessons from there. Okay, so those are the features down the left. If I just move in a little bit, you'll see a big list of the teams that I'm a member of. Okay, so these are all the teams that I'm a member of. And when you create a new team, it is created with a single channel called the general channel, and you can see that in front of you now. Teacher can add more channels depending on how they want to organise the team. And that general channel is the main channel of the team, and it is created with a posts tab, a files tab, a thing called class notebook, assignments and grades, and I've actually added this insights tab to this one. So the team opens default general channel in the posts tab, and the posts tab is very much like a modern day social media type interface where anyone in the team can post stuff. So I might typically get asked a question by a student in the chat, and I can respond to that student, and everyone in the team would see it. If we wanted one-to-one communication, we would typically do that with email. Sometimes that's desirable, but you can add files, videos, GIFs, all sorts of stuff down here, and it's all secure. So that's what the Post tab does. You'll notice as well that there's an assignment being issued to this team, and it would appear in the post. The next tab that we'd be interested in is the Files tab. So that essentially is the electronic filing cabinet of the team. Unlike any other storage space, it is a very typical file structure that can be set up by the teacher to put in all sorts of file types and so on in there. And what you'll see when this eventually comes up is that there is a folder at the very top of the team, or the tab, and that's called Class Materials. Okay, so this folder called Class Materials is automatically created when I make a new team. Any files that I put in there are automatically read-only files. so I'm the only one that can modify them. Students can copy out files and then they can choose to modify them, but that's just worth highlighting, is that the team automatically gets created with that a class materials folder that is secure. I then just added whichever file structure I would like underneath. So I've got help videos, in this case I've got subject notes and files I might use in class. I might have links to SQA, I might have past papers, all sorts of stuff. Okay, I'm going to come back to the notebook tab in a wee while. The next tab that your young person will use very frequently is the assignments tab. Teachers will issue work to students through assignments. Now that could be in class, or it could be a homework, or just an activity or a wee project that the teacher wants to issue for the class. Okay, so the young person in your house will use this tab very frequently. Okay, and it's taken a wee minute to come up, but when this comes up in a typical class, I could have a whole list of assignments here. In this case, I've only got one because I've created a dummy team to demonstrate this, the features of teams for you. I've got a drafts area where I can line up a whole load of assignments that can be issued later. I can just pull them out. I've got a marked tab, and in this case you can see that I have a single assignment with the title and its due date. Okay, so I can set due dates and deadlines, and you can notice on the right hand side I have a summary of how many students have done the work and handed it in. Now in this case I've only got 2 in the team, but in a class I would have up to 20. So you would click the assignment, okay, and what you have now is teacher view essentially. So student view is possibly more use to you guys out there. So this is what an assignment would look like in Teams if a student opens it. It would have the title, it would have any marks or points allocated, it will have the deadlines, it will have instructions how to carry out the assignment, and it will have resources underneath here that would be needed to complete the assignment. So in this case we've got a wee help video, we've got a worksheet, we've got a PowerPoint. So the student would then go away and complete that assignment, and they can then submit that assignment to me in Teams, okay, without coming out of Teams. Now if I go into this marked tab, we'll see a good example of what a student's piece of work looks like when it's been returned to me. If I open Mrs. Reed, because she's been very dedicated and got this one back to me really quickly, I can open up the assignment, and this is what I would see when I get it back. Alright, and you can see that Mrs. Reed has actually returned her work to me using the file that was issued in the assignment. So that's one option. You can return, the student can return a file to me. More typically though, that is a photograph or photographs of the student's work that they can just take on their phone and then upload to Teams. Okay. And then I have an area where I can provide feedback over here on the right hand side, and I can allocate a mark, and this button that's greyed out a little bit called return, that would normally be in bold, and I would hit return, and that would send the work back to the student, and then they would have the option at that point to maybe change their answers and send it back to me if that was considered appropriate. And the other bit that I would highlight is, you'll notice, is this student, Dawn McFarlane, she's been in and viewed the assignment, but she's not handed me anything back. So I would typically take note of that, because there could be a genuine problem there. There's obviously not a problem with access, because she can view the file, but there may be a genuine reason that she doesn't want to message me on Teams and so on. So I would go and then investigate that. But the point is that the assignment gives me a summary of that. Okay, so if I go back and look at the assignments, if I go to the next tab, I'm not going to go in there, but grades would give me a summary of all the assignments I've issued and with all of the scores for all of the students. This Insights tab would give me a whole load of digital information that's a bit Big Brother is watching you, because it tells me who's accessed the team and for how long, and it gives me the average scores, the average time for feedback. It gives me a whole load of digital information. So typically the assignments would be accessed through the Teams the Assignments tab, but you can see that I could also access it through the Posts. So how does this integrate with other tools now? So Class Notebook is another very commonly and powerfully used tool, and if I click it, it then takes me to another tool called Class Notebook, which is part of the Microsoft suite as well, and lots of teachers use that to create a slightly different learning environment, but has a whole load of other options available to the teacher. But the main message here is that it's integrated with Teams. The young person can go in and just click that, and it takes them to another area with another set of tools. Now what you're seeing here is a web version of Notebook, but you can download the desktop app for that as well. And then if we go back and talk about some of the other tools that are integrated or work really well with Teams, you saw some of these apps coming up. Now obviously the Office apps are commonly known, but Microsoft Forums, for example, would allow me to put a quiz out as an assignment through a Microsoft form, a bit like almost a Survey Monkey type thing, multiple choice questions, written questions, and then if I set the form up correctly, it will mark it for me and send me it back. So that's very powerful. We've got an app called Sway that we use a lot, some people, and they can integrate a whole load of different files and links in a Sway and then issue that as an assignment. And finally, I didn't show you how to access Teams using a mobile device, but that is by far the most common way of accessing Teams. Okay, so if I just show you briefly how that looks like. Now obviously you would have to go to the App Store to download the Teams app, but it's available Android and Apple operating system. So in this case I'm going to show you how that looks. So you would download the app, and that would give you a tile on your home screen in your Android device. Now the very first time you access this, once you do the next click and open that Teams app up, it would take you into Teams. You would have to put your Glow login for the very first time, and then after that you wouldn't have to put your Glow login in, and you would then see, as you probably remember now, the list of Teams that I'm in, and then down the bottom you have all of those tools, the activity, the chat, etc. And on an iPhone that would look very similar. You would download the Teams app. The first time you click it, you would have to use your Glow login to get in, and then once you've done that, you then see a very similar picture. All of the teams that you're in, all of the functionality there. So I'm hoping that that's been a big help to you now, you parents out there, and the Fraz is going to sign off. Bye for now.